boom, all the way through to Feb 2020, and then disaster, happiness and joy. And then there's, the depths of, depression almost. I don't want normal. Like, normal doesn't even come into the vocabulary. I want an extraordinary life. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Out of Melbourne like that. Hey, babe, might be away for 3 months. Don't know, no contact. But the saleable asset of the real estate business, needy and desperate. Something that a lot of people probably don't do enough of. And then next thing you know, an Instagram account comes out that is with the sole purpose of mocking you. You laugh it off and go, ha, that's funny. And then it kind of sinks in. You go, I think 2024 is going to be everyone. If you're not advertising on Homely, you should be.
Well, welcome to the 7th edition of the Upshot podcast here by Homely. Today, I am really excited because we get to chat to Fraser Lack, who works at Biggin & Scott in Port Melbourne. Very young for the industry, but doing some amazing things and has a very, very strong social media presence as well. So I really look forward to talking to you about that. I'm also a massive Survivor fan, so I'm really looking forward to delving into that in a little bit more detail.
Cool.
But great to have you on the program here today, Fraser.
Thank you for having me. I'm blessed to be here. Big supporter of Homely, so it's a no-brainer.
Fantastic. Now, you've just got back from Europe. How was that?
Amazing. Yeah, well needed, really. Like, the last few years have just been all go, no breaks, so it was perfect timing.
Fantastic. What was the highlight?
I love Paris, and I wasn't even supposed to be in Paris, and it was just by chance. A friend said, "Hey, I've got a place to stay. You can use the apartment." I was like, "Perfect."
Got to pick your friend pretty wisely.
Yeah. He's a good friend. He's a really good friend.
Good.
But it was a blessing. No, I had a friend's wedding in Tuscany, and it was awesome excuse.
Yeah, right. It's a tough life.
Tough.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. I'm happy to do it. To do it.
Cool. Now, talk us through your career. You're obviously, fairly new to real estate, but you're doing some pretty awesome things at the moment.
Thank you.
So you work at Biggin & Scott. Talk us through it. What have you done differently? How are you getting into the marketplace?
So I've been in real estate for just going 4.5 years. So I started in Jan 19.
Okay.
But I would argue the last 4.5 years have been like 10.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen multiple cycles in that time. Like, it's just the speed of a cycle has just changed. The velocity, the momentum of the industry has just picked up its pace dramatically. So it's been sort of like, birth by fire, baptism by fire. Everything that we've been through with COVID, etc. And people don't even remember, like, 2019 was tough. Yeah. We dealt with a lot of speculation about change of government and capital gains tax. And I remember having properties on the market for 90, 110, 120 days in 2019. Yeah. And then it kicked into gear post-election, no change of government, boom, all the way through to Feb 2020, and then disaster, with COVID and everything else that happened over the last 3 years.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. The cycles in the market over the last 5 to 6 years has been absolutely wild. I remember when they had the Banking Royal Commission, that was the first bad market I'd seen since I got into real estate. And it was, nowhere near as bad as it is right now, but it was a real shock to the system. And then we sort of came out of it and things were pumping along again.
So I've had like a glimmer of good times.
Yeah.
But you know what, you never learn anything from just easy days, right? So the more difficult it is, the more challenging it is, the more skilled the sailor.
Yeah. That's true. I think you're probably going to see a lot of people getting out of the industry at the moment.
I've seen it, it's crazy to see even how it's changed in 3 years. People that have been in real estate a long time and just decided to call it quits. Yeah. And go, you know what, I want something more stable. Yeah. I want to become an account manager for something and take a salary and have a family, and that's cool. Like, you do you, there's no, and I think those people probably respect real estate agents the most. Yeah. Anyone who's been involved in the industry or been an agent prior probably really understand it most.
So do you enjoy the grind?
I do, and I don't. Like any job, right? You have good days and bad days, and there's moments of absolute happiness and joy, and then there's, the depths of, depression almost, right?
Deals falling over, not getting listings.
Everything. Yeah, everything. And it's a roller coaster of emotion every day. By the hour, by the half hour, you can feel incredibly happy with yourself. You're like, fuck yeah, that came off.
Yeah.
Didn't expect it would, and I pulled it, but, and then you have a client of yours can go, yep, actually, we don't want to sell anymore. And you've invested 8 weeks into them.
Yeah.
You know,
So how do you manage the peaks and troughs?
I think you've got to have we'll obviously get into it, but I think you've got to have a really good sort of base level, right? In terms of everything else in your life outside of real estate that keeps you constant.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, then you really do fall into those peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
And you almost believe the bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've had to learn, and I am still learning, is how to kind of detach from that as much as possible. You don't want to be a mute to your emotions, and that's what makes you human. But at the same time, you can't take it all home with you.
Yeah.
Because it'll destroy you.
So how do you unwind after a day like that? Is there anything that you put in place? Because, I mean, it can be pretty challenging, I'm sure, to take up a lot of your mental space.
Yeah. No, but yeah, definitely. And as I said, still getting it right.
Yeah.
And there's not many people who, even some of, mentors and people I look up to in the industry, not many people I look at have got it right.
Yeah.
Or you might have it right for a little while and you fall out of it. So it's constantly realigning yourself and finding your balance and finding your safe space. But for me, having a really, really good friendship group has been massive, you know, and that includes for, any of the young agents out there, ridding your circle of anyone who is negative or does drain your energy or drain your time and your peace and your happiness, and just only celebrate and spend your time, which is your most valuable asset, with people that do celebrate you, and keep it small. I've got a handful of friends, count them on one hand, they're on my favorites list. Probably speak to them all, if not daily. And that's massive.
I love that. I know that I'm a bit older than you, only a little bit, but I am older than you.
Don't look it.
And I surrounded myself with people that cut me down earlier on, and I don't do that anymore. And it's so much better, much better. People that want to celebrate your success rather than criticize or chop you down. So it's a really good way to do it. Bit of that.
But even that, it's something that I can say this and you can say this, but I think you have to go through it before you realize it. And everyone's going to realize that at different stages of their life, whether it's 18 or it's 32, and go, actually, the way that I'm living and who I'm living with don't support me and don't support my growth to be the best person I can be. And that's what you should strive for. So I was lucky that, I had a pretty clear vision on that, and I've made some really great friends, and I've lost some other friends, over the last few years, but I'm in a pretty good place with my relationships.
Cool. Now, talk me through a day in the life of Fraser Lack. You're massive in the fitness side of things. I know you do a lot of running. I'm sure that helps with your, getting into the rhythm. Talk me through it.
Everything. Yeah, no, for sure. It's interesting, I'm a constant sort of source of inspiration. I'm always looking for, I'm always inspired, and I'm always looking for more and more motivation. And I heard something the other day that says, because I was thinking, what is a normal day in my life? I don't want normal. Normal doesn't even come into the vocabulary. I want an extraordinary life.
Cool.
I want an amazing day. There's no normal day, but the way to do that is build that from the get. And look, depending on the day, I mix my mornings between either running or gym. Running's definitely a really big focus of mine, and I absolutely love it. And I would encourage anyone who doesn't think they're a runner to just start, because I think it can do so much for you just mentally. It's been a really big backbone to my life. But I'll try my absolute best to be at the gym 5:32 in the morning, or I'll run about 6 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would exercise 6 days a week. Without a doubt. So it's generally about 4 runs a week and 3 gym sessions. There'll be a double day in there, so I'd still have 1 day rest.
Yep.
For sure. But exercise and that physical element of just moving, so key. Couldn't live without it. And I probably, I'm at the point now where I've done this religiously and relentlessly for so long that it even impacts who I want to do business with and who my friends are.
Yeah.
None of my friends, all my friends operate the same way.
Yeah.
And my best friends, I see them pretty much every morning because we're all training together.
Yeah. I guess it's a great way to be disciplined, right?
Yeah.
And that rolls into
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right? It's 100%. It's all about discipline.
Yeah.
And bettering yourself and being just the best version you can be.
Yeah. Do you have days where you lack motivation?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're not superhuman.
No.
Okay.
And there are times being young as I am where you kind of feel immortal, and you feel invincible.
Yeah.
And running is one of the most humbling things you can do.
Yeah.
Training for a race or an event, working through injury, etc. Really snaps you out of it quick.
Yeah.
So, you kind of realize that pretty quickly.
Yeah, love that. All right, I'm going to move into a little bit of Survivor. I won't spend too much time on it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a big fan. I've watched every season.
Awesome.
I've seen all your videos on Lords of Property. So when you came on as a villain, I was just shocked because you're a hero in my eyes, right?
Thank you.
What was it like? How did it all happen? Talk me through
it. It was nuts. It was crazy. So, long story short, I got a message on Instagram on a Wednesday night at about 11 p.m. from someone who just low-key account. It was like a mum on Instagram, but she was actually a casting executive for Endemol Shine, the producers of the show.
Okay, yep.
300 followers, private account saying, hey, I've got an opportunity to talk about Survivor. Would love to chat with you about it. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's chat tomorrow. You available at 9 a.m.? She's like, yep, perfect. Called her at 9 a.m. the next morning. She's like, great. Love this. I want to get you on an interview.
Yeah.
Done. Let's do it today. I'll move it around. I'll make it happen. She's like, I can do 3. Gotcha.
Yep.
Had an interview at 3 p.m. that day. Moved into another interview, into another. Probably ended up doing about 5 interviews.
Yeah. Through
the course of about 2 weeks. And then between first contact and going was a month.
Okay.
The turnaround was quick.
Yeah.
I was out of Melbourne like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had no prep. There was no lead time. It was, we've got a spot.
Yeah.
We want you. I had to do a number of physical tests, psychological tests, health checks, all of the above.
Yeah.
And then they gave me a green light officially about a week before I left.
What, they just jumped you on a plane straight away?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How did you manage that with your business? I'm sure you had listings and stuff like that on the go.
Yeah, look, it was tough because, as well, they keep their cards pretty close to the chest. And when I say this, seriously, when Survivor gods look at you and go, hey, we want you, you just make it work.
Yeah.
You just figure it out. And that was probably one of the really good learnings for me, is how to detach and how to walk away.
Yeah.
That your business is not your life.
Yeah.
As much as you allow it to be, every other day, right? So being able to walk away from your clients and say, hey, I can't be here. It is what it is. You're in safe hands dealing with David.
Yeah.
Right? So rest assured you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I would love to be here, but I can't. I have something that I need to do that I need to do for me.
Yeah. And
you need to respect that. Because I respect my own time and my own life, my own journey, you know, enough to be able to do that. But it was challenging. That was the most difficult thing I had to deal with.
Yeah.
Telling my girlfriend at the time was that was hard. I was in a new relationship. I'm like, hey, babe, might be away for 3 months. Don't know, no contact.
Yeah.
But what I really, really fretted was I do so much work Monday to Saturday every week, scouring for leads to potential listings, working those leads relentlessly, religiously for months, years on end, to then turn around and go, hey, actually, don't want the listing. I'll see you in 3 months. That was really hard.
Yeah.
It goes against every fiber of my being to say, I can't actually help you now.
Yeah.
And have to be okay if they wanted to sell with another agent. None of them did. That was the lesson.
That was my next question. Okay.
Right? None of them walked away. They were all super supportive. And I had to say, look, I'm going on TV.
Yeah.
It's overseas.
Yeah.
It's not what you think.
Yeah.
Because all of them immediately think Bachelor,
Yeah.
Bachelor in Paradise, or whatever, some bullshit.
Yeah.
I said, trust me, you'll love it.
Yeah.
And you'll want to watch it. So, but, you know, like that was a really good lesson so that I can walk away. And then, you know, when I went away for this trip for my friend's wedding in Tuscany, again, it was very easy for me to do that because I'd done it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I could.
Yeah. It's just breaking, I guess, the psychological barrier that you need
for
to
sure.
do.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and I probably learned things on how to better process that as far as, okay, how do I handle it? What do I need to say? What are the conversations I need to have in lead up to?
Yeah.
So you get better at it. You almost, it becomes part of your life that you're going to be stepping out of the business certain amounts of times and for certain periods of the year. And you need to do that for you so you can be your absolute best self when it comes time to actually representing your clients.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, if you can't step away, you're not doing them any service and you're not doing yourself any service.
Yeah. You see so many people that just can't disengage from real estate. You know, they go on holidays, they're always still on their phone, they're still checking emails. It's like so important just to switch off, reset,
definitely
get straight back into it. So,
yeah, 100%. And when I was away, you know, like I check my emails probably every 5 days, but that was it, you know, like, and that was big for me.
Yeah.
And, but that's, you know, a realization that I've made after working so intensely for the last 4 years of how I need to operate better for longevity.
Yeah.
That there is no longevity in just burnout, constant burnout. And that's probably one of the biggest issues I see with my industry is that inability to switch out and switch off. And look, for some people that are probably younger in the industry, if you don't have the support crew and network around you that you can delegate or pass off to, then that might be tough.
Yeah.
If you don't have assistants or sales staff, etc., then it is pretty tough.
It makes it tough.
But you need to find a way to do it, or you need to just empower others. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. I'm going to circle back to Survivor really quickly because I got four quick questions I want to get to.
We got sidetracked.
All right, no, that's all right.
Yeah.
You were part of the greatest blindside in history, in my opinion anyway. George got you.
Yeah.
The devilish little man he is.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Look, it was shocking.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just so unexpected.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that, like, you know, you try and predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you're there, when I was there, you're constantly like, okay, today's going to be this challenge. Today's going to be this, because history tends to repeat itself with that show.
Yeah.
And they keep proving you wrong.
Yeah.
They just throw twists and turns at you, but they keep reminding you that this is their show. It's not yours. You're just here to play a part.
Yeah.
And like it was traumatic, but you know, like if there's any way to go out, I'm happy it was that.
Yeah.
And to be part of that show's history forever is pretty awesome.
It was
so.
Good.
I'm always going to have a positive spin.
Okay. Okay. So positive spin. What are your feelings towards George?
Don't like him.
Okay,
no, look, I'm going to be honest,
okay,
right?
Good.
Yeah, like, you know, all the best to him.
Yeah.
In whatever his endeavors are.
Yeah.
You know, for the remainder of his days.
Yeah.
They won't be celebrated with me.
Yeah, so I think Simon called him the cockroach from Bankstown. So I think that probably is pretty fair.
No, look, honestly, absolute respect. He plays the game well. He knows it well. He is an absolute student, and it served him well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he got me before I got him. So, you know, hats off to him.
Who was your favourite player? I think I know the answer to this, but I want to know if I'm correct.
You know my answer to this.
Yeah.
On my season?
Yeah.
Geordie.
Yeah, of course.
I love Geordie.
Yeah, man. He is the best.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
Geordie, if you're listening, love you, brother. No, he's
Geordie, I don't know you, but I love you too.
He's such a cool dude, and he's just a really humble, down to earth guy that I just connected with off the bat, you know. And it's very isolating being on an island in the middle of nowhere with no contact, and you don't know anyone, and you're told essentially when you can eat, what you can eat, because if you win challenges or you don't.
Yeah.
So to kind of form a really great relationship that then goes outside of the game was really special. And that's one of the best things I can take away from it.
Love that. Has it helped your career, do you think, being on Survivor?
Yes and no. I think it's helped my personal brand
Yep.
and my, let's just say, awareness of phrase.
Yep.
Like let's say my following hasn't increased dramatically. I still had a fairly substantial following prior to that on Instagram.
Yeah.
But it helped with everyone else. So, for example, like I'll walk down the street and people who I don't know, but I know that they own property, I know that they're local, be like, hey, well done. Like, great job.
Yeah.
I loved watching it, you
Yeah.
know? And that's where if I am front of mind as Port Melbourne real estate Fraser,
Yeah.
awesome. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it hasn't come back to me. It's not as if someone says, hey, I saw you on Survivor, would love you to sell my place.
Yeah.
Never heard about you before, but it's probably helped the brand recognition
Yeah.
and my perception in my area.
Yeah. Think about how many phone calls you'd need to make to have that lasting impression on someone that walks down the street and then just immediately identifies with you. So I'm
Seriously.
Sure,
yeah, exactly.
amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, again, like visually, right? Rather than just verbal over the phone. Hey, it's Fraser. I'm here to annoy you again.
Yeah.
Smith Street sold for X. What does that mean for you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like it hasn't come back to me yet, but I know that it all plays a part.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, back to real estate.
Yeah.
What are you doing differently in your business to get listings at the moment? What are some of the strategies you put in place?
I think people are overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
And when we say, you know, I see that many real estate mentors and advisors and coaches out there sort of giving 7 strategies to get more listings in the current marketplace, etc. I am just knocking on doors, not physically, but calling.
Okay.
You know, and that's all you can do. I think the more that you can make calls will convert to simply in-person appointments, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Like that is when I'm going to be the most influential or the most personable, and I'm going to build the most rapport with someone is face to face.
Yeah.
Right. The chance of doing that over the phone is very slim. If you can't book an appointment with that person and they're not willing to invite you into their home, they're not going to list with you.
Yeah.
You don't win the listing, you don't sell the property. You don't sell the property, you don't get paid. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
So look, calls. I mean, a lot of people, and I've struggled with this through the last few years. You know, you go through peaks and troughs like anything where you don't want to call. You get complacent, right? You get lazy, right? You're on a winning streak. You've won 7 out of 7 listings you've just gone for, right? And you're like, cool, things are humming, you know, business is good, and that drops, right? But it's learning to keep it consistent, make it part of your routine, and know that it's a non-negotiable of your business. Pipeline management, just keep working on it all the time. And it's hard when you have these breaks and you go away for 3 weeks to Europe and the time zone's completely off. But having, like, if you go away, have listings set up for when you come back. I was in Spain and I had 3 listings go online on the market. So I could fly home 1 a.m. Saturday morning and go to the appointments that Saturday morning. You know,
was that a goal of yours to have listings for?
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise you've just lost time. You haven't just lost 3 weeks. You've probably lost 6. So, you know, calls are massive, and I need to be doing more. I can always do more, right? And it's funny, like I had a friend, like he was over at my place even yesterday, and he just heard me like calling through. I'm like, look, I can't hang out now. I'm going. I still need to get through this call list, you know. And he's like, yeah, cool. Like you do your thing for the next, and I just half an hour, and he was like, fuck, like it is really tough. I'm like, yeah. I think, and out of that, like nothing came from it. Absolutely nothing. But you just need to stick with it.
You know that someday something will come out of it. So
something will. Yeah. It's that promise to yourself.
So do you focus on, I guess, a big database, or are you kind of trying to keep your database a little bit smaller and just work with a smaller amount of clients? Because there's a few different ways to do it, right?
Yeah, I think, look, number one that I always come back to is buyer work. Really good buyer work. buy work to the point where someone who I've met at some point in the last couple of years ends up buying a property,
Yeah.
and they decide to lease it out, for example. They don't go to the agent that they bought through, they call me.
Yeah.
That's massive. And obviously, I'm not so involved in the rental side of things, but there's no denying, and anyone who doesn't understand this, that the saleable asset of a real estate business is their rent roll, that makes a really incredible impact on my asset.
Yeah.
Right. So even though it's not my day to day in terms of leasing, great. Bring this client into the world of Fraser,
Yeah.
nurture them, take care of that property for them,
Yeah.
and they're going to be a client for life.
Yeah.
And at some point, it'll come down to a transaction later down the line, but really great buyer work.
Yeah.
And then, look, I hate being the person that pesters people, especially vendors, right, about, do you want to sell your home? Do you want to sell your home? It's always providing value. I only call with value. If there's information that could be useful, great, then I will call. But I don't call for the sake of calling, needy and desperate. Yeah, because
I need a listing. Can you sell?
Seriously, and I feel like that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's always with intent, always calling with intent. I've curated a pretty small list, and this is something I've only done recently, where very, very select few people that have mentioned or hinted the idea that at some point they will sell, right? Might not be a market appraisal yet, might not be a listing appointment yet, but they've just mentioned it. Immediately, I've got a small part of my CRM which is allocated towards them, and they get an email every week with an update on the market. Every week, every Monday morning, they get to know what's listed, what's sold, what the true, real auction clearance rate was. Not what any of the portals tell you, not what it says on the news, the actual honest understanding of that. And when I say a market snapshot, not just my listings, all listings, every agent's listings, I'll send them a link to another agent's listing so they know about it and go, cool, any interest, any questions, let me know. I don't need anything back from you. It's fine. But that week, like 2 years, someone decides to sell.
Bang.
Hey, they got 100 emails from me. And 3 to 4 calls in that 2 years.
Do you track the engagement on those emails?
I do. Yeah. And the click through and the resend. It's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But that's like, and you look at that and go, okay, that and the actual click through and the read rate versus my buyer match alerts, right, where I send out to buyers in my database about a new listing, very different. So that's massive. But I think also one thing that, just coming back to your question, as far as what am I doing, something that a lot of people probably don't do enough of is letter drops. And in my marketplace, where the median age is, for the properties that I'm targeting and that I want to sell, 40 to 60, they still, like, they get mail. I don't get mail, right? I'm 25. I don't get anything in the mail. They do, right? So anything is direct mail has been really, really important, right? And again, it's a touch point. Everything I'm doing is to create this fear and this sort of world where they're seeing me or my brand or my name or hearing from me or seeing me physically at an open for inspection or on the street so many times that it becomes no-brainer. They associate real estate with me, right? So if I'm putting something in their letterbox literally every month, right, and they might throw it out 11 out of 12 months, but they keep seeing Biggin and Scott. They keep seeing Biggin and Scott. Just listed, just sold. Just listed, just sold. And at the end of the financial year, so next month, I'll do a half yearly marketplace report for certain apartment buildings and certain sub pockets of Port Melbourne of similar property.
Because there is, I mean, you've got those towers in Beacon Cove. Or do you target those sorts of? There's some good apartments in there.
Some good property.
Waterfront, love it.
Oh, look, but I sell everything. You know, like I don't so much specialize in just one type of property or one price bracket, but I'll sell anything from sort of 450 up to we just achieved a sale off market for just over 3.5 million.
Yeah, cool.
About a week ago.
Yeah.
So, like there's a lot of variety in that sort of, between those two price ranges.
Yeah.
But, that's why I really try and focus on Port Melbourne and surrounding areas, and try to do as much that I can and put as many touch points out there to potential clients for now and in the future.
Love that. Talk me through your personal brand.
Yeah.
So you've got a big following on Instagram, and I'm sure that's come through a number of different channels.
Yeah.
How did you start? What were the things that you did that got you where you are today?
Look, it's a good question, and it's funny. Like it's I appreciate you saying that. I don't see it as a big following.
Yeah,
it's probably big comparative to the rest of the industry,
to real estate agents,
right?
Yeah.
So, but if you look at the broader accounts on Instagram and content creation, etc., which is becoming so big and a massive industry in itself, I'm minor. I'm small on the playing field, right? I'm on the bench, but it has been really helpful. It started very small. It was like coming out of high school, I had probably 900 of your friends, mutual friends, friends of friends of friends, that sort of thing, who you just follow, right?
Yeah.
And look, early on, I've always been incredibly ambitious and inspired, and that's something that has been with me since my earliest days.
Yeah.
Like since I was a child, and I've always been promoting, and pushing motivational content, whether it's something I see, read, hear. I'll always just put it out there. Maybe someone will take something away from it.
Yeah.
Right. And it started with me just sharing quotes, etc. And then it moved into me, making these little motivational videos.
I watch them religiously. They're the best. They get me through the day. I'm going to ask you to do one later on.
But, it moved into that. And that even started small. It wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
It started as, okay, it might have been 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It was one line, boom, in and out, done. And, people loved it. Like my friends would be super supportive and encouraging and be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Always replying. And it was always just on my stories, right? So it wasn't anything like crazy serious.
Yeah.
It was there for 24 hours and it would disappear, vanish, gone, right? So you either saw it or you didn't, right? And then that evolved further because I got so much positive feedback. People were like, wow, I really like what you're doing, and I was like, all right, cool, need to be better, need to be faster, need to be quicker, need to give more, right, and do it more frequently. So I was like, let's 10x this. So, and then you start practicing it, right? And you start working on it and working on it, and then you're like, well, I need to know more, I need to learn more, I need to have more in this catalog of motivation, and then next thing you know, an Instagram account comes out that is with the sole purpose of mocking you and or the industry, and poking fun at real estate, which I agree is pretty funny. But I am the first post on this page, and I was the profile image at the time, right? So it did feel very personal, and it did feel like quite an attack on me. And at the time, again, I had 900 followers. My account was private, and it just felt like someone was really out to hurt me.
Okay.
And it just felt incredibly personal. And there were things that they had shared or cut and spliced and edited photos and videos of me that I'd posted like a year ago that had been saved, screenshotted, recorded, whatever it might be, with the intention of reusing down the track when this page would come up, and that's what it just felt so orchestrated and so planned that I was like, fuck, like this is, I don't even know what to think, and at first you laugh it off and go, ha, that's funny. And then it kind of sinks in, you go, someone doesn't like me, like really doesn't like me to the point where they're willing to do this.
Some pretty savage stuff on this page.
Yeah. So, you struggle with that, but I'm better for it. I'm much more emotionally intelligent and controlled.
Yeah.
And it really gave me the opportunity to understand myself better and probably be better equipped for criticism.
Yep.
Like in those early days when they would post whatever it is with a funny caption or a funny tagline and, with the intention of taking the piss out of me, you kind of, it hurts you and you go, yeah, wow. And you read the comments and there's 350 comments and they're all going, this guy's a joke. This guy's a clown. I've heard every bad comment there is to say about me.
Yeah.
Anything that could be said has been said. It's trying to hurt me now. Like I'm just built different now.
Yeah.
It's as simple as it is, through going through that, incredible scrutiny and ridicule, I'm untouchable.
This is very interesting to hear. And I mean, there was always these rumors around that you created Lords of Property. That was what I was always told, that you'd done this, you'd set this beautiful thing up so you could build out your brand. So that's obviously not the case.
Maybe I did.
Oh,
no, we'll seriously. No, like, you know what? Those rumors will circulate forever until such time that we find out who truly runs the page.
Yeah.
And, it's funny though, because friends have asked me, well, what if you did know? Like, what would I do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not going to go up and confront someone and say, how dare you make my life better? Because my life is better.
There you go.
I'm better for it, and the blue sky and everything in this whole situation is that it has done a lot for me, and it has completely flipped the script. And that is a direct reason why my following increased to where it was, to get noticed by the casting executives for Survivor, and get onto this show and potentially new shows in the future.
It probably would have started off a lot more hate at the start, but I would say now people love it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I will petition to have you on the $5 bill. I saw that. That was the best thing I ever said.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Like, I love that. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
But like it started off as ridicule, and it still does happen. That page has gone pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Not a lot there anymore.
It's because you've been in Europe.
Yeah. but like it slowly turned to people going, this is actually really toxic.
Yeah.
It's really negative. It's not supportive. It's not encouraging. There is no good that comes from this.
Yeah.
Right. And it turned people kind of against it and the page was always sort of tongue in cheek. So it was mocking me, but also celebrating me at the same time.
Yeah.
Celebrating me as their king.
Yeah.
Right. So, but there are a lot of people that then, have reached out and have been so supportive of my journey, and just want to be part of it, and to everyone that does send me a message or comments, I see you, I'm in your corner. I'm proud of you. Like, appreciate the love and support. I might not always respond. I've got things to do, but I do appreciate it. And I do see it.
I love that. It's funny. My wife and I watch Survivor.
Yeah.
And there's dummy accounts of yours that we discovered. And she got added by this dummy account thinking it was you. And she contacted me straight away and said, you won't believe it, Fraser's added me on Instagram. It was hilarious. But anyway, she asked me to say that today. So there you go. It's on there. Thanks for that. Very good. Mate, talk me through your big goals. You're obviously very young. Well, let's not say that. Very young. You're newish to the space.
Yeah.
You've got some big ambitions.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go with this?
Look, I love what I'm doing, and I can always see myself involved in real estate.
Yeah.
What aspect or what position, that'll evolve. That'll change. I see myself. I really see everything that I've done as being very minor to where my ambitions are.
Yeah.
I'm very partial. I've got so much more that I want to do. And I honestly consider myself as beginning this journey today. Today is day one.
Yeah.
That's how I see it every day, so even though I do have to be proud of what I've done, because I've come into an incredibly competitive marketplace and been able to segment my own position, my own identity, and my own point of difference against some very, very established competitors.
Yeah, I mean, just on that, the market that you
Yeah.
work in has some of the biggest brands in
Yeah,
Victoria and some of the best agents. So to enter
absolutely.
into it is very, very difficult.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
No, like I completely agree. I would say that this is, yeah, if not the second or the, up there with the most competitive market in Victoria,
yeah,
and therefore Australia,
yeah,
based on that. So to come in with a very short history in the industry and earn some level of respect and attention has been very special. So,
lovely.
but there's a lot to do, a lot to prove, and there's as the pie shrinks with the economic climate that we're in, I just need a bigger slice of the pie. I'm going to keep pushing for that.
Keep pushing.
It's my Kobe era.
Love that. How do you combat, I guess, some of the challenges around being young in your marketplace?
You just have to embrace it.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot fight it. The beard helps.
Okay.
All right.
I can't grow a beard. I've tried. It just doesn't come out.
If there's no denying it, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, I'm not going to say people have copied or what have you, but I've definitely noticed the beard uptake in my area has increased,
Yeah.
right? So in the last, couple of years, I've definitely noticed that change. But look, you have to embrace it. Don't fight it. The more that you try and prove that you're not young, it'll come off as inauthentic.
Yeah.
Just, embrace it for all the good reasons these are my USPs, my unique selling propositions, right?
Mm.
I'm younger, yes. Less experienced, absolutely. However, I have zero dependence and I have all the time in the world to prove why you need to sell with me.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to make that point every day of the week. I have the energy that this is not the 5,001th sale, right? This is the only sale that I'm focused on.
Yep.
And this has my absolute attention,
Yep.
right? And for any agent that's been in the industry 10, 15, 20 years, what have you, with all my competitors, essentially, they've lost that, I would say, attention to detail and focus. There's some great competitors and I have absolute respect for them, but I would say match me one for one in energy and you can't.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. And I've just got so much that I want to prove. It's, as I said, it's just not the next sale. It is the only sale.
Yeah.
And I give each of my clients that same attention and focus. And I think that speaks volumes if you look at my testimonials and reviews online.
That, coupled with the fact that you seem very, very composed, even in this podcast for your age. I keep going back to you're 25,
you.
right?
Yeah,
but you are very composed, very level-headed. So that plus the energy, I'm sure, would be very, very powerful in the living room.
Yeah. But I almost feel like I almost hate saying energy because I feel like it's almost like a trigger word. Or,
yeah.
It's like cliche to say. Everyone throws this word around these days, right? But I see it because when I attend other agents open for inspections, they're not attacking, but they're not driving the conversation with buyers.
Yeah.
They're not asking the right questions. They're not probing. They're not the follow-up is not as frequent or not as immediate.
Yeah.
It's these 1% that add up to a 10% difference at the end of the day.
Degree of complacency.
Yeah. And just getting comfortable, once you've got a pretty good track history, which I didn't, right? And I still don't. I still want it to be better. You just generally have this cycle of incoming calls, and I don't have that, right? So I need to push. I can't sit on a throne and go pick up the phone because the call's coming in. The calls from me all go out.
Yeah.
And until that day is I can sit on the throne and take that, I'm going to keep pushing,
Yeah. I've got a bit more of a personal question around this
Shoot.
because I watch your videos and you've
Yeah.
got some really, really good fashion sense. So I enjoy
Appreciate it.
I
Thank
enjoy the
you.
fashion videos that you've got going on.
Yeah.
Uh, Winter wardrobe, talk me
Yeah.
through it. What are we
Yeah.
rolling with?
Lots of knitwear.
Okay.
Knitwear is your friend.
Okay.
Casualize it. Even today, like I just, threw in a crew neck underneath the suit
Yeah.
and, is fashion doesn't need to be expensive. And I think a lot of, especially younger agents, I see them sort of peacocking and this and that on Instagram or wherever,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to spend a bomb on your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Seriously. Uniqlo is your friend. Buy well, buy less,
Yeah.
buy basics, keep it simple, and you'll have a really great wardrobe that you can switch in and out. Don't go for loud fabrics because it gets noticed. It's like girls with a dress, right? They're like, can't be seen wearing that again,
Yeah.
right? You buy a pink dress, everyone's seen it, right? So you keep it simple. I stick to navy. All of my wardrobe is pretty much navy. I've got a couple of special things in there, but look, I love fashion.
Yeah.
It was a big passion of mine in my early years in high school,
Yeah.
after high school, pre-real estate. I've always been interested, and it's going to be something that I carry through, and it's just part of my life.
Yeah.
And I love dressing well, feeling good, and that is a big part of who I am.
Love that. Love that. I look at you as the Victorian Gavin Rubinstein. We talked about this off air. It's a huge compliment, but
Yeah.
I think it's true.
Thank you.
Do you have many mentors, or who are your mentors that you work with at the moment?
It's a good one. Look, so I do see my business coach, Josh Fegan,
Okay.
relatively frequently. We do group training through Bigger Than Scott with
Okay.
him, which is awesome. He comes down to Melbourne almost monthly, and that has been incredibly helpful. He is a beacon of knowledge and advice and insight, and he's got this really unique perspective that he's not working in the industry.
Yeah.
He's kind of working on the industry.
Yeah.
So not being a real estate agent himself, he used to be, but not now. I think he's got this really incredible worldly view to give great insight. So for anyone out there listening who does want some direction, advice, and or mentorship, I think he is the number one real estate coach to seek out.
Yeah.
I tune into a lot of content and information from Tom Panos. I think I think he's got a lot of really interesting points of view and perspectives. But look, at the end of the day, like I watch a lot of my competitors, not with the interest in commentating on what they're doing, but just to see how they're operating, what they're doing differently. Obviously, a big standout in the Victorian marketplace is White Fox and everything they've built.
Sure. Yep.
As a business, which, absolute credit to Marty.
Yep.
He's done a great job in really segmenting a very unique approach to the marketplace. And, there's some really, really interesting things to take away from that.
Yeah.
In terms of branding, marketing. At the end of the day, we do a very similar job.
Yeah.
But it's how you present yourself and therefore the value you charge based on how you present.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of respect for what they've done.
Yeah. He's nailed the video content side of things. Catchphrase, here's the deal. Love that.
Yeah. I can't say that. I can't use it. I think it's trademark.
Oh, very good.
But look, yes and not, because look, I don't think it's about imitation. I can look at what someone else does and go, okay, I think they do it great for X, Y, Z reason. I do little things that, for example, I do my own video content for every property that we sell, and it's not flashy and it's not fancy. There are no transitions. There's no drone footage, right? There's no day and night, X, Y, Z. I film it on my iPhone. I've got a little gimbal, and look, honestly, pro tip for anyone out there: check out what I have done on just our YouTube page for Bigger Than Scott, and you'll see the video walkthrough tours that I've done. And this was incredibly vital through COVID to sell property when people couldn't see it. And we sold some amazing property through video, but also it meant that I would be narrating a property for, let's say, 4 to 6 minutes.
Mm.
As I walk through it, I record the narration after.
Yeah.
I cut and splice it on my iPhone, right? And it goes on YouTube. And the cut through that has had has been astronomical. And that is something that every client who brings me into the lounge room has referenced.
Yeah.
Everyone says, love your videos.
Yeah.
Right? And it literally, and it astounded me because I thought they were pretty average.
I can't believe you did them on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
you don't need to spend, like, we have a videographer that we work with, but to do a professional video, it's about $1,800.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Right? And more than that, the ability to book, like, sometimes the lead time for us is very, very, very slim, right? The turnaround to get a property on the market needs to be quick, and they'll ask for 3 weeks to book it in, plus a 3 to 4 days turnaround, right? I go, not going to happen. I need to get on the market now. I will have sold that by the time you're able to get it back to me, right? So, I do it this way, and it's had really good cut through. But the thing to remember is, especially when you're selling premium property, you're dealing with high net worth individuals who are highly educated and probably bought and sold property before. And based on the negative imprint that a lot of people have of the real estate industry, are very trusting of real estate agents. So if I've done a 6-minute video where I'm narrating at this kind of pace, talking about the property, before they even come down, they feel like they've met me. And I've built rapport and trust. And that's massive to, number one, getting them to buy the property, but number two, getting the best sale price for my client.
It's so interesting. When I was in sales, I was always told that never narrate, never have the agent too much in the video, because the audience doesn't want to see the agent. They want to see the property, right? But I think the way that you're doing it, actually talking through the features of the property and not making it so much about visually you, but at least they're hearing you, hearing your sales pitch. I think it's very, very effective. So
absolutely. I mean, I didn't expect it to be received as well as it has, and it has, and so I've kept it up. We do it for every listing, without a doubt. And, it's not like they get crazy views, but per property, it's probably 500 views. That's direct click through Homely. Through the real estate portals. It'll have a link. Perfect. They'll see the video. Awesome. They'll come down and see it. And it's a very honest opinion and showcase of the property. So if you like it in the video, you'll love it in person. And I'm not giving some ridiculous spiel. It is very, very simply, here's the primary bedroom, incredibly tall ceiling heights. We're at 3 meters here. Northwest orientation with light coming in at this time of day, electric blinds, built-in wardrobes, carpet underfoot. Like, it's that kind of just really simple detail that can be missed. That kind of give people this really good understanding of the property. So really, when they come in down to see it, like, it should be, I want to buy it.
It's almost like tick, tick, tick as you're going through all the features. They're like, oh, okay, good. It's got that. It's got this. Okay. Tick, tick, tick. No, it's really, really good. Mate, we're getting to the end of this, which saddens me. But we've got to end it at some point. I normally finish with a few quick fire questions. One of the ones that I had written down was, are you the admin of Lords of Property? But I think we've covered off on that one. I guess back on the property side of things, where do you see the market going, I guess, in the short to medium term?
Look, it's interesting you ask this question, because prior to my leaving for overseas, we had an amazing few months. March, April, May were incredible for us. So that was, in the last 18 months, standout, right? Strongest months for us as far as sales made and sales settled. Now, coming back, I've really noticed that potentially the media might have been a very negative place to, stick your head in the sand over the last month. And a lot of the reporting has been, incredibly negative. And I have found that affect buyer confidence in this first week that I've been back. I have found a level of uncertainty and a level of, probably worry in people's voices as I speak to them on the phone. So It's going to be a very interesting 6 months. I think if you're considering to sell, I would sell prior to the onslaught of new properties coming onto the market for spring.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is the number one problem or issue that people who want to sell are going to face is an oversupply of listings coming onto the market.
Yeah.
Right. CoreLogic, RP Data has sort of said that they've had a record number of market appraisal reports produced,
Yep.
which is a pretty clear sign and indication of people getting appraisals, new properties coming onto the market in the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So you sell in isolation with as minimal competition as possible in order to get the best result. There is enough buyers in the marketplace at the moment to sustain the current undersupply that we've got. If that supply factor is to increase, by quite a lot, then we're going to be up for some probably tough times.
It's a balancing act at the moment, and we've seen a little bit of a spike in terms of pricing over the last few months, but that's because some markets are 40 to 50% down on volume. So
we notice that 100%, and as the pie shrinks, I need a larger slice of the pie. But I'm incredibly positive. I always am. I think, I think 2024 is going to be great. And I think it's going to be a really incredible year. I'm already thinking, not to say this year is done, but I'm thinking that sort of direction. And, I think there'll be, with the combination of, let's say, rate decreases in 2024 and or some personal income tax changes from the start of the 2024-2025 financial year, that'll reduce personal income tax for some people, will be really helpful to the real estate sector. But if there's any advice that I can give, it's that for anyone thinking of upgrading, do it now or do it soon. Okay. If there's any better time, it's at the top of the interest rate cycle and the bottom of the price cycle. Right. If you're in a unit wanting to get into a house, there is no debating the fact that house and land will improve better capitally over time. Do it. If you're in a $2 million asset, you want to get to a $3 million asset, do it now again, and then ride the recovery. It's as simple as that. Ride the recovery. If this is the bottom of the price cycle, and a lot of people speculate that it is, or we're very, very close to, you'll never be able to pick the bottom until it elapses. Right?
Until it's rising again.
Until it's rising again, you go, should have bought.
Yeah.
Right? I always believed the best time to buy property was yesterday. So seriously consider it. I know that, fortune will favor the brave. And you just need to go out there and make it happen for you.
I think Warren Buffett said something once of buy when everyone's selling and sell when everyone's buying. So something along those lines. I'm not as wise as him, so I'll just use his quotes. You kind of answered my next question, but it was more around what sort of advice would you give to buyers and vendors moving into the spring market? Is there any sort of niche things that they need to be doing moving into the market?
Look, I think a lot of buyers at least, have lost a lot of heart. They've kind of felt as if the lack of available property has been very depleting for them, and then it's stopped them looking. They're thinking emotionally, they're not thinking factually, logically, right? Keep your finger on the pulse. There are some great buys out there. Everything I sell is great value. It's not cheap. It's great value. So the fact of the matter is you are buying better than you would have in the last 2 years. Okay. Take advantage of that situation. Don't try and, people get so picky around, maybe it might be a little bit less. You're focusing on it too closely. Okay. Long term, you will win, and property is a long term game. If you are in it for the short term, maybe look at shares or something else, right? So, I think a lot of buyers have come to me and said, "Oh, there's not enough around." I go, "Well, I'm doing CMA reports, and I'm seeing a lot of transactions of properties that should have suited you, but you didn't buy." And the amount of conversations I'm having with buyers that go, "I woulda, coulda, shoulda on XYZ 3 or 6 months ago," are a lot. Find something you like. There'll always be compromise. If it's 8 out of 10, you're doing well and it's a good property. You think that you can afford the value, great.
Yeah.
If an interest rate rise happens again this side of Christmas and you can afford it, great.
Yeah.
Buy.
Very good, mate. Very good. We've reached the end.
appreciate you having me here.
Mate,
honestly.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time, talking to us about your journey, what you're doing out in the marketplace. Big fan. So thank you very much for coming on.
Awesome. Everyone, if you're not advertising on Homely, you should be.
There we go. Love that. Nice little spruik. Fraser, great to see you, mate. We'll see you soon. Bye. Before you go, please hit follow, like, and subscribe to make sure you have me and my next guest back in your ears in 2 weeks' time. Until then, make sure you share this episode with your friends and colleagues, find details and resources in the show notes, and get in touch via Homely socials with any questions. That's at homely.com.au on Insta, Facebook, and TikTok.